Welcome to the deep dive. I know you're here to, well, dive deeper into language, really level up your English skills so you can express yourself better, understand things on a deeper level.
Yeah, absolutely. And to help you along on that journey, we've got this really interesting article, 50 Advanced English Words. Actually, it's got a thumbs up emoji in the title. 50 Advanced English Words, Meanings, Usage, and Examples. It was published pretty recently, like just a few months ago.
50 words, that might sound a little daunting, but the goal isn't to just, memorize everything. Instead, we're going to go through this article and pull out some of the words that will really make a difference for you. Words you can actually use and sound, well, smarter, I guess. And most importantly, without feeling like you're stuck in some boring English class.
Right.
Okay, so let's dive in. The first word this article starts with ubiquitous. This is a word that seems to be like more and more relevant these days.
Ubiquitous, yeah. The article defines it as like present, appearing or found everywhere. And one thing that comes to mind right away is technology.
Oh, for sure.
And the article even uses that as an example. Technology has become ubiquitous in our daily lives. I mean, think about it. It's kind of hard to imagine any part of our day where technology isn't involved in some way.
Totally. And they also give another example. The sound of birds is ubiquitous in the forest, which really kind of highlights how something can be so intertwined with its environment that it's just a given.
Right, exactly.
Now, the next word is ephemeral. It's a word that really makes you think about how temporary things can be.
Ephemeral, yeah. So that means lasting for a really short time. And the article uses this beautiful imagery. The beauty of cherry blossoms is ephemeral.
Oh, yeah, I love that example. It's like, here, 1 minute, gone the next.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it also gives another example. His fame proved to be ephemeral, fading quickly. Some things can be so big and impactful, but then they just disappear so quickly.
It kind of makes you wonder what makes some things last and others just fade away. Like, is there a fundamental difference in their nature?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, ephemeral is interesting because it's not just that something is short-lived, but often it suggests that there's a kind of delicacy to it, maybe even a lack of substance, like it's not meant to endure.
I see.
Okay, so moving on, the next word is sycophant. Now, this one refers to a specific kind of relationship or dynamic between people.
Sycophant, yeah. This one is defined as a person who acts obsequiously towards someone important to gain an advantage, kind of like brown-nosing someone in a position of power. And the example they give is perfect. The king was surrounded by sycophants who told him only what he wanted to hear.
Classic.
I mean, we've all seen this kind of behavior, like someone trying to suck up to the boss or something.
Yeah. And to give another example that brings it into a more modern context. Constant agreement with the boss made him seem like a sycophant, always trying to please and gain favor. It makes you think about, what happens in workplaces where people are afraid to speak up or give honest feedback.
Totally. It's like, how do you navigate those power dynamics without ending up as a sycophant?
Right.
Okay, so the next word, it has a much more negative feel to it. Pernicious.
Pernicious, yeah. So this means having a harmful effect, especially in a gradual or subtle way. And the example they give is the pernicious effects of smoking on health are well documented. It's not like, something that happens overnight, but over time it can really do a lot of damage.
Yeah. And then they give this other example that's so true. Gossip can exert a pernicious influence on relationships. Like, you might not see the harm right away, but it just kind of eats away at things. Trust, connection, until things are really messed up.
Exactly. And I think what's so dangerous about pernicious things is that they're often hard to spot until it's too late, Because it's so gradual, people tend to dismiss it.
That's a really good point. So subtle. Okay, this next one is esoteric. And this one always reminds me of really complicated subjects that you need years of study to understand.
Yep. Esoteric. The meaning here is intended for or understood by only a small number of people with special knowledge.
Yeah, and they use an example that's totally like what you're describing. The professor's lecture on quantum physics was esoteric and challenging for the students.
Quantum physics, yeah. It's like, whoa.
Right. But it's not just limited to, science and stuff. The article also gives an example from the art world. The artist's work had an esoteric quality that only true art enthusiasts could appreciate.
I see.
And what's interesting about esoteric knowledge is, it creates this kind of boundary, like who's in the know and who's not. It makes you wonder, does that make the knowledge more valuable, or does it limit its impact because fewer people can access it?
That's an interesting question. It's like a trade-off between, depth and accessibility.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about quixotic. This one I always think of like chasing impossible dreams. Like maybe with good intentions, but not really grounded in reality. Quixotic, yeah. It means extremely idealistic, unrealistic, and impractical. And the article gives an example that captures that perfectly. His quixotic quest for perfection often led to disappointment. It's like you're aiming for something that's maybe just not achievable in the real world.
And they give another example that so many people can probably relate to. Pursuing a career in acting can be seen as quixotic, given the industry's uncertainties.
Yeah.
Like you have this dream, but there are all these real world challenges that make it, well, really hard to actually succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes you think, is there a point where idealism becomes like a bad thing, like where it actually prevents you from making progress?
That's the question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this next word has such a positive vibe. Ebullient.
Ebullient. So that means cheerful and full of energy. And the article uses this great example. Despite facing challenges, she remained ebullient and optimistic. Like no matter what's thrown at her, she's still got this positive energy.
It's contagious, that kind of enthusiasm.
Right. And then the other example they give, the team was ebullient after winning the championship. That kind of pure joy and excitement.
Totally. It makes you realize how powerful that kind of attitude can be.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, switching gears now to something on the opposite end of the spectrum, cacophony.
Cacophony. This refers to a harsh, discordant mixture of sounds. And they give this example that I think everyone can relate to. The cacophony of traffic made it difficult to concentrate. We've all been there, right? Like when the noise is just so overwhelming and unpleasant.
Oh, absolutely. I can just hear it now.
Yeah, exactly. And then they give this other example that's kind of interesting. The orchestra tuning their instruments created a cacophony before the concert.
Yeah.
All those individual sounds that are just kind of jarring when they're all happening at once.
But then it becomes beautiful music.
Right, exactly. So it makes you think about how context really matters when it comes to sound.
Yeah, it's all about how those sounds are organized.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, this next word is so delightful, serendipity.
Serendipity, yeah. This refers to the occurrence and development of events by chance in a happy or beneficial way. Like those lucky accidents that turn out to be amazing.
And the example they give is so sweet. Their meeting was pure serendipity, leading to a lasting friendship. Just a chance encounter that turns into something special.
Yeah, and then of course the classic example. The discovery of penicillin was a serendipitous breakthrough in medicine.
Talk about a lucky break for humanity.
Right. It makes you wonder, like, how can we create more opportunities for these kinds of serendipitous discoveries? Is it about being open to new experiences or maybe just being in the right place at the right time?
It's like embracing the unknown, right?
Mm-hmm.
This next word is mellifluous. I love the way it sounds.
Mellifluous. This describes of a voice or words, sweet or musical, pleasant to hear. Like a voice that just makes you want to keep listening.
Oh, yeah, like a singer with an amazing voice. And the article uses that as an example. The singer's mellifluous voice captivated the audience.
And then they give this other example. It's kind of funny. The professor's lectures were so mellifluous that students looked forward to attending. Like imagine a professor who's so engaging and pleasant to listen to that people actually want to go to class.
That's like unheard of.
I know, right? But it shows that, the way you deliver a message can make a huge difference.
It's not just what you say, it's how you say it.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about disparate.
Disparate.
Yeah.
So this one means essentially different in kind, not allowing comparison. Like things that are just so different that you can't really compare them. And the example they give is the committee had to deal with disparate opinions on the issue, like people who are just coming at it from completely different perspectives.
Right. And it can be hard to find common ground when viewpoints are that different.
Yeah, definitely. And the other example, the two cultures had disparate values and traditions. That highlights how those differences can shape entire worldviews.
It makes you think about how important it is to understand and appreciate those differences, especially in today's world.
Absolutely. Okay, so the next word is insidious.
Insidious. Oh, this one is a little bit scary.
Yeah. Insidious means proceeding in a gradual, subtle way, but with harmful effects. And the example they give is the disease had an insidious onset, making it difficult to detect. It's like you don't even realize it's happening until it's too late.
And then this next example, it's so relevant today. The insidious influence of social media can affect mental health. It's like you're scrolling and scrolling and you don't even realize how it's impacting you.
Exactly. And because it's so subtle, it's easy to underestimate its impact.
It's a good reminder to like be mindful of what we're consuming, I guess.
Right.
This next one, ineffable. It's like when something is just so amazing that words can't describe it.
Ineffable. Yeah. It means too great or extreme to be expressed or described in words. Trying to explain a sunset. It's just beyond words.
And the article uses that as an example. The beauty of the sunset was ineffable.
And then they give another example that's kind of similar. The experience of standing on the mountain summit was ineffable.
Yeah.
Those moments that just take your breath away and you can't even find the words to describe how you feel.
You just have to experience it for yourself.
Exactly.
This next one, it describes a situation I think we all dread, quagmire.
Quagmire. Oh, yeah. That means a difficult or precarious situation, a predicament. Like when you're stuck in a mess and it's hard to see a way out.
And they give this example, the political negotiations turned into a diplomatic quagmire.
Yeah.
It's like things just get so complicated and tangled.
Yeah. And then they give another example that's a little bit more, I guess, everyday. Getting involved in the project turned out to be a financial quagmire.
Yeah.
Like when something seems like a good idea at first, but then it just spirals out of control.
It makes you realize how important it is to think things through carefully and assess the risks. This next word is recalcitrant. It describes someone who is just stubbornly resistant to anything you say.
Recalcitrant. Yeah. That means having an obstinately uncooperative attitude toward authority or discipline. Like someone who just refuses to follow the rules.
And the example they give is perfect. The recalcitrant employee refused to follow company policies. It's like, no matter what you say, they're not going to budge.
And then there's the classic teenage example. The teenager was recalcitrant, ignoring parental advice.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
Right.
Okay, this next word is inefficacious. I'm not sure I've ever actually used this word in a sentence.
Inefficacious. Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful. It basically means not producing the desired effect. Ineffective. Like when something just doesn't work.
And the example they give is the treatment proved to be inefficacious in curing the disease.
Right. And then they give another example that's a bit more general. His attempts to motivate the team were inefficacious. Like you try something, but it just doesn't have the intended result.
It's a good reminder that sometimes you have to reevaluate your approach and try something different.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and now we see ephemeral again.
Ephemeral, right. Like the cherry blossoms here one moment and gone the next.
It's a good reminder that some things are just fleeting.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on to inscrutable. I always think of this word as like describing a mysterious person.
Inscrutable, yeah. It means impossible to understand or interpret. Like you can't figure out what they're thinking.
Yeah, exactly. And they give this example. The motives behind his actions were inscrutable. Like you just can't see what's driving them.
It's like trying to read a blank book.
Right. And then they give this other example that's even more vivid. Her expression remained inscrutable, revealing nothing. You're trying to get a read on someone, but their face just gives nothing away.
Poker face.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about obfuscate. This one always makes me think of politicians trying to avoid answering a question directly.
Obfuscate. Yeah. That means to deliberately make something unclear or difficult to understand. Like using a lot of fancy words to confuse people.
And the example they give is so true. The politician's speech was designed to obfuscate the real issues.
Classic.
It's frustrating, right? Just be straightforward.
Yeah, I know. And then they give another example that's a bit more relatable. The complicated language used in the contract seemed to obfuscate its true meaning. It's like, why can't they just say what they mean?
Right. It's like they're intentionally trying to make it hard to understand.
Exactly.
And now we see disparate again.
Disparate. Right. Things that are fundamentally different, like apples and oranges.
It's a good reminder that not everything can be compared.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next word is iconoclast.
Iconoclast. Uh-huh. This one describes a person who attacks or criticizes established traditions or institutions, like someone who challenges the status quo.
And they give this example. The artist was known as an iconoclast, challenging traditional art forms. It's like they're breaking the mold and doing things their own way.
Yeah. And then there's this other example. The scientist was an iconoclast in the field, challenging long-held theories. It takes courage to question things that everyone else accepts as truth.
It's like they're not afraid to shake things up a bit.
Right.
Okay, this next word is desultory. I always think of it as like lacking direction.
Desultory, yeah.
Yeah.
It means lacking a plan, purpose, or enthusiasm. Random, like when you're just kind of going through the motions.
And the example they give is so relatable. The meeting was desultory with no clear agenda. It's like everyone's just there, but nothing's getting accomplished.
Yeah, totally. And then there's this other example. His desultory efforts resulted in a lackluster performance. It's like, if you don't put in the effort, you're not going to get the results.
It's a good reminder that we need to be intentional with our actions.
Exactly.
Now we see ineffable and inefficacious again.
Right. Ineffable, like trying to describe a dream. And inefficacious, like a treatment that doesn't work.
It's good to see these words again. It helps them stick in my mind.
Yeah, repetition is key.
Okay, let's talk about reticent. This one is like describing someone who is really quiet and reserved.
Reticent, yeah. It means not revealing one's thoughts or feelings readily. Like someone who keeps to themselves.
And they give us this example. She was reticent about her personal life. Like, they don't like to share much about themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's this other example. The normally reticent artist opened up about his creative process. It's like, sometimes people can surprise you.
You never know what's going on beneath the surface.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about prolific. This one always makes me think of like a writer who publishes a book every year.
Prolific, yeah. That means producing much fruit or foliage or many offspring. Highly productive. Like someone who just creates a lot of things.
And they use that exact example. The author was prolific, publishing several books in a year. It's impressive, right?
Yeah, definitely. And then they give another example. The scientists made prolific contributions to the field of genetics. Like their work has had a lasting impact.
It's like their creativity just flows endlessly.
Right.
Okay, this next word is capitulate. I always associate this word with war.
Capitulate, yeah. It means to cease to resist an opponent or an unwelcome demand, surrender. Like when you give up the fight.
And they use a war example. The general had no choice but to capitulate to the enemy's terms.
Right. But it doesn't always have to be that dramatic. They give another example. After hours of negotiation, they decided to capitulate and accept the compromise. Sometimes you have to give a little to get what you want.
It's picking your battles, right?
Exactly.
And now we see disparate and obfuscate again.
Right. Disparate, totally different. And obfuscate, intentionally confusing.
They're really hammering these words home. Okay, and here's cacophony and quixotic again, followed by ephemeral and inscrutable. And then we have sycophant and ineffable, followed by quagmire, iconoclast, mellifluous, desultory, and ebullient. It's like a rapid-fire review.
Yeah, they're really making sure we don't forget these words.
It's helpful, though.
Definitely. Okay, and then we have sycophant and inscrutable again, followed by pernicious, recalcitrant, capitulate, serendipity, mellifluous, obfuscate, quixotic, and finally, inefficacious. And that brings us to the end of our list of 50 advanced English words.
Wow, that was a lot.
It was, but I think it was really valuable. Expanding your vocabulary is about so much more than just knowing more words. It's about being able to express yourself more clearly and understand the nuances of language.
Absolutely. And even though we went through 50 words, hopefully a few of them really stuck with you, like maybe ubiquitous because it's so relevant to how we live today, or ephemeral because it reminds us of the beauty of fleeting moments, or even sycophant because it highlights the complexities of social dynamics.
Right. And as you encounter these words in your reading or listening, you'll start to understand them on a deeper level. And who knows, maybe you'll even start using them in your own writing and conversations.
So here's a challenge for you. Try to incorporate just one or two of these words into your vocabulary this week. You might be surprised by how much it changes the way you communicate. And pay attention to how other people use them. You'll start to notice them everywhere.
Yeah, it's amazing how once you learn a new word, you start to see it everywhere. It's like it was always there, but you just didn't have the right lens to see it.
Exactly. So keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deeper into the world of language.
Thanks for joining us.
And until next time, happy diving.
See you next time.
Ever get that feel, like when you're trying to really nail what you want to say, or you're reading something and bam, there's this word that just throws you completely off.
Yeah, it's like you hit a wall.
Exactly. It's like there's this whole secret level to English, and today we're going to try to unlock it.
I like that, a secret level. And we've got a great map for this adventure. We're diving into an article that breaks down, get this, over 200 difficult words.
200. Wow. Okay, we've got our work cut out for us.
But hey, don't worry. The goal isn't to like become a walking dictionary overnight.
Right.
We're going to pull out the good stuff, the insights that really help us understand how these words tick. And trust me, that's going to make your communication so much sharper.
And who doesn't want that, right? I mean, the English language, we all know it's massive. Over 1 million words. It's crazy.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it?
But here's the thing, and the article points this out. For everyday conversation, you really only need a surprisingly small number of words, something like 3,000.
Yeah, that's a much more manageable number.
Exactly. So, we're not talking about suddenly becoming super formal and using all these obscure words all the time. It's more about having that extra layer of precision in how you express yourself.
It's like having the right tool for the job. You wouldn't use a hammer for everything.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about sounding smart or, fancy.
Right.
It actually helps you understand things better, too, like when you're reading.
Absolutely. Reading comprehension, overall grasp of the language, and of course, being able to get your ideas across with more nuance, more clarity.
Okay, so how's this article set up? We're calling this a deep dive, right? So how deep are we going?
So it's actually pretty straightforward. It's an alphabetical list, A to Z.
Okay, easy enough.
Yeah, and for each word, they give you a definition. It's kind of like a little mini dictionary of, those trickier words.
I like it. A curated collection.
Exactly. And there's even more. They have sections on how to actually learn these words, plus some frequently asked questions, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Nice. Always good to have those FAQs.
Definitely. What I find really interesting is how these words often represent ideas, concepts that, need a bit more finesse than our everyday words sometimes allow.
Oh, I see. So they allow for more
precision.
Right, precision.
Like they unlock a more precise way of thinking and talking about things.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's jump in.
Let's do it.
Starting with A. I already spotted a few that caught my eye. Abandon. I mean, we all know what it means to leave something behind, right? But this is about more than that. It's that idea of ceasing to support, to look after something or someone, like you've washed your hands of it.
There's definitely a sense of finality to it.
Right. Then there's abolish. Again, not just stopping something, but formally ending a system, a practice. And I love this one, abscond. It's so dramatic. It's about leaving secretly, often because you've done something wrong.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely a shady vibe to that one.
Totally.
Even with just these 3 words, all starting with A,
yeah,
you see how they all have these slightly different shades of meaning.
It's true. Like each one paints a specific picture.
Exactly.
Okay, so more from A. What about accretion?
That's a good one. You often see this in scientific contexts or even financial ones.
Yeah.
It's all about that gradual process of growth, like how sediment builds up over time, layer by layer.
Got it. And acumen, now that's a word I wish I had more of, that sharpness of judgment, especially in a specific area.
Oh, yeah, like business acumen.
Exactly. It suggests you've got that knack for making smart decisions, a real instinct for it.
And it really speaks to a certain level of expertise, doesn't it?
Totally.
And we can't forget about affluent. It's interesting because it's got 2 distinct meanings. One is the obvious one, wealthy.
Right.
But it can also mean, when we're talking about liquids, flowing freely, abundantly, like a river after heavy rain.
Oh, that's interesting. I never knew that.
It's a good reminder that words can be slippery. Their meaning can change depending on the context.
Okay, on to B. Let's see. Baffle. I think we've all felt baffled at some point. That feeling of being completely perplexed, like you just can't wrap your head around something.
Oh, for sure. Like trying to solve a really cryptic crossword clue.
Yeah, exactly. Then there's barbaric. That's a powerful word. Savagely cruel, primitive.
It definitely evokes strong feelings.
It does. And bedlam. Oh, that's a great one. It just sounds chaotic. A scene of pure noise and confusion. You can practically hear it like a crowded market in, I don't know, ancient Rome or something.
You can almost smell it too, can't you?
Yeah. Okay, see now. How about cajole? To persuade someone, but through like gentle urging or flattery.
Oh, there's definitely an art to that.
I know some people who are masters of cajolery. Then there's charisma. That's a tricky one to define, but you know it when you see it. That magnetic charm that draws people in.
It's like a special kind of energy.
Yeah, and cliche. I think we're all guilty of using a cliche or two from time to time. It's a phrase that's become so overused, it's lost all its impact.
It's like that saying, familiarity breeds contempt.
Huh. Okay, a few from D now. Dauntless. I love this one. Fearless, determined. It makes me think of a brave knight or something.
Oh, for sure. It's a very heroic word.
It is. Then there's desolate, that deep, deep sense of loneliness and despair, or a place that's completely deserted, like a barren wasteland.
It's a word that evokes a real sense of emptiness.
It does. And discrepancy. That's a good practical one. When something doesn't add up, when there's a difference or an inconsistency between two things.
Very useful for fact-checking and just for, clear thinking in general.
Okay, I want to skip ahead a bit now, just pick out a few interesting ones from other letters.
Sounds fun.
So under K, we have kalopsia. And this one is fascinating. It means everything appears beautiful.
Oh, wow. That's lovely.
It is, isn't it? It makes you wonder if it's even possible, like a state of mind where everything is just aesthetically pleasing.
It makes you wonder if you could somehow train your brain to see the world that way.
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, under M, we have malapropism. And this is when you use a word that sounds like the word you meant, but it means something totally different. It usually ends up being pretty funny.
Oh, like saying specifically instead of specifically.
Yeah, exactly. It's named after a character from a play who was famous for these kinds of mix-ups.
That's hilarious.
It is. And then under S, we have serendipity. I love this word. It's all about those happy accidents, those chance encounters that lead to something good.
It's like fate intervening in a positive way.
Yeah. And finally, under X, we find xenophobia. And this is a more serious one. It's that intense dislike or prejudice against people from other countries.
Yeah, a really important word, sadly.
It is. So, that was just a tiny paste, but it really shows you the range of these difficult words, right?
Absolutely. From the lighthearted to the serious, from abstract concepts to practical everyday terms.
So why bother learning these words anyway? What's the point?
Well, the article actually makes a really compelling case for this.
Right.
It reminds us that a bigger vocabulary is like, it's like a superpower when it comes to reading.
How so?
Well, you can grasp more complex ideas. You're not getting tripped up by unfamiliar words. It's like leveling up your reading comprehension.
Makes sense.
And of course, it improves your overall knowledge of the language.
Right.
But maybe most importantly, it gives you the tools to express yourself with so much more precision. Really get your point across effectively.
Yeah. The article says, and I love this quote, everything is hard until it's made easy.
Oh, that's so true.
Right. These words, they might seem daunting now, but with a bit of effort, they can become second nature.
It's about shifting your perspective, seeing them as a challenge, not an obstacle.
I like that.
And the article even gives some tips on how to actually learn these words.
Oh, okay.
One thing they emphasize is practice, practice, practice. Use them in your own writing, in your conversations. Don't just memorize the definition.
Right. You have to actually use them.
Exactly. And this is interesting. They talk about semantics.
Semantics?
Yeah, which they define as the study of meaning. Understanding semantics, like how words get their meaning and how those meanings relate to each other, it could be a huge help when you're learning new vocabulary.
So it's not just about the definition itself, but the whole web of meaning around a word.
Exactly. It's about understanding those connections, the nuances.
That makes a lot of sense.
And they have some other practical tips, like starting with simpler words and gradually working your way up to the tougher ones.
Okay, so take it slow.
Yeah, don't try to do too much at once.
Yeah.
Another tip is to create a list, a personal list of words you want to learn, and then make a conscious effort to learn a few new ones each day or each week.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It's all about consistency. Slow and steady wins the race.
Love it. I'm a big fan of those small, manageable steps.
Me too.
So the article has a section for frequently asked questions, which is always super helpful.
Oh yeah, those are great.
One question is all about, it basically asks, what are some really hard words? And they give a list of 20 words, some of which we've already talked about. Labyrinth, nirvana, nomenclature, pandemonium. Oh, pseudonym. Remember that one?
Yeah, a fake name.
Exactly. Malapropism. We talked about that. Omniscient, rejuvenate, sagacious.
I love that one.
It's a good one. Serendipity, solace.
Comfort, right?
Yes. Tangible, tenet, unbiased, unilateral,
Unsided, yeah.
utopian, valediction.
A farewell speech.
Yep. Overwhelm, whimsical, and xenophobia. Quite a list.
It really is. And it's interesting to see which ones they consider to be particularly challenging.
It is. Another question lists 10 difficult words that all start with the letter I.
Oh, let's hear it.
Okay, so we've got iconoclast, idiosyncrasy, idol, imbibe, imperative.
Essential, right?
Yeah, impetus, incarnate, indigenous,
Fative. Yep.
inevitable, and insane. Quite a mix there.
It's fascinating how words with the same starting letter can have such different meanings and, well, vibes.
Totally.
Like iconoclast, someone who challenges the status quo compared to idiosyncrasy, which is just a quirky little trait.
True, true. And then there's a very straightforward question, which is, what is semantics? And they answer it very simply. Semantics is the study of meanings. Which brings us back to that key idea we've been talking about, right?
Totally. That words are so much more than just sounds. They carry meaning, history, nuance. And understanding all that is what makes you a true master of language.
So wrapping up this deep dive into difficult words, I think the big takeaway is that expanding your vocabulary is totally achievable.
It's a journey, not a destination.
I like that. And it doesn't have to be overwhelming.
No, not at all. Small steps, consistency.
Right. And most importantly, really understanding the meaning of the words, not just memorizing them. That's where their real magic happens.
Absolutely. And as we've seen, a lot of these words represent really interesting and useful concepts. They help you understand the world better, and they help you express yourself more effectively.
It's like upgrading your communication toolkit. Exactly.
So here's a little challenge for you, for everyone listening. Pick 1 or 2 words from all the ones we've talked about today. Something that, I don't know, maybe resonated with you or that you think you could actually use. And this week, try to work them into your conversations, your writing. Just see what happens.
I love that. Put them into practice.
Exactly. You might be surprised by how much even a small shift in your vocabulary can change how you communicate and how you think. So give it a try and let us know how it goes.